Thanks for joining me for this edition of the Church Security Answer, man. I'm glad you're here, and we need to talk about some stuff that's going on. Of course, you're hearing about the Israeli, Palestine, Gaza Strip stuff. That's just terrible news that's going on over there. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, for our churches, the threats that are coming over to the U.S., general threats for rage and the day of rage and those kind of things. And I want to also give you some answers at the end, some opinions about what I think that we should be doing to kind of beef up our protection of our churches, our synagogues, and our people. So let's talk a little bit about some things that I'm seeing. And there's a lot of it out there. If you're not seeing it already, I want to point out just a few things. I'm not going to show you the actual videos or clips or anything, but I'll talk about them. You can go find them. There's plenty of stuff on the internet right now that tells us that these things that I'm reporting to you are true. Former Hamas chief is calling for global protests. You may have been seeing that already. And, one evidence of that is NYPD, New York's calling for all cops on deck. They want everybody in their uniforms and ready to go for these threats that are going on. And you're seeing the protests. If you're watching the news at all, you're seeing the protests where in New York, especially, where one side of the street is pro-Hamas and the other side is pro-Israel. So, and that's how I describe it. That's my opinion, my thoughts of what I see. And I don't know any other way to describe that, but it's not a good thing. And so, and then you look at protest rallies have already been running and pro-Hamas. And I have trouble with that, how you can be pro-Hamas with all the nasty terrorism stuff. But just what we saw this last week going on in Israel and the amount of violence and just it's just heinous crimes. But you can go look at, there's videos out there. There was one on October 8th in Philadelphia, a rally that was held praising Hamas, praising the violence, that kind of stuff. So if you're wondering if those folks are here, well, at least their supporters are here. And as porous, as open as our borders are, you can just imagine who else might be here as well from the different groups. There's a lot of groups out there that are not pro-U.S. that are probably coming through the border. So you can just imagine that. And I'm not here to create fear. I just want to report what I see as facts and then some simple things that we can do about it coming up here. If you haven't heard, Chicago PD's on high alert. There's a lot of police departments. Just get on the internet that are on high alert for today, Friday the 13th. But I say we got to start watching this stuff in the near future because it's not going to stop or start just today. Hamas has declared a day of rage, and that's being widely reported on the internet. So what can we do about this stuff? What can we do just not only this weekend, Friday, today, if you're a synagogue meeting today or a church, what can we do today? What can we do going forward as well in the coming weeks? Because this isn't going to end anytime soon. And I think you got to pay attention to the news reports, especially locally. What alerts are going on in your region? And, if there's local protests, local rallies, higher reports of vandalism and maybe some violence in the streets, you want to be paying attention to that because we're not just talking about Hamas or Hezbollah, or we're not just talking about those groups. We're talking about people who may support them. We're talking about some people that are just radical and looking for a reason to get out and create issues and to engage violence. So it's not just about those groups. It's about what we might call sympathizers or other people that just look for a reason to get involved in this stuff. So, and then I say just gather up some extra people. If it's just normally one of you, hey, see if you can grab a second person to help you watch the parking lots and the entrances and the lobbies. And that's really, being seen out in the parking lot, being seen out front of your church, even with a little name tag on. If you both got matching name tags that you can get at a local office supply store and just have those flopping on a lanyard in front of you, I think some of those simple things can be good deterrents, especially against single sympathizer type folks that may try to create issues or interrupt your services or some of those simple things just because it's weekend or day of rage that they want to join in with, even though they don't even know anything about the groups declaring these things possibly. So just gather up some extra people. If you're normally working with 2 people, see if you can get a third one. And just do things that you can to really pay attention to your parking lots, your entrances, and your lobbies. And then the other thing that I would suggest is be ready to report issues to 911. Have somebody maybe designated that's not on your team to call 911 that you can say to them, hey, can you call 911 for us? Get them ready mentally so that they're thinking, make sure they know the address of your church or synagogue, and so that they're all ready to go and make that report, and maybe even know the non-emergency number for your local dispatch center. So if it's something that's kind of mediocre, that you can also do that. You can just call the non-emergency line for the local police department or emergency responders and give them information that you may not think it meets the level of 911. So I'm just suggesting to you that we need to be on alert. I'm not expecting to create panic. That's not what I want to do here. But I think that we should step it up a little bit. If you start seeing news in your area, though, that there's a group, what we might call a sleeper cell, or a group of supporters of maybe these foreign groups that are creating chaos, there might be some local supporters of those or members of those groups that have maybe even migrated to this country, or that have just sprang up from folks already living here in this country. If you're seeing any of those news reports, seeing those protests, you might look at increasing even more and being even more prepared. However you can do that. That's really what it's all about. And I do believe it could be as simple as adding another person or two walking around the parking lot or the sidewalk or standing at your entrances, just to give that idea that you are doing something more and that you are thinking about security for your people. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to our information here, and also check the description area here, and especially if you're watching on YouTube, for other resources that we have available to you at our website and other places to help you with these types of situations.